This bill really is an embarrassment because it represents an approach which Jamaica should have gotten rid of once and for all, and thought it had done in 2016. Prior to the reform of local government, which culminated in 2016, it was the practice for political considerations to guide when local government elections were called, and they were often postponed if the party in power didn't feel that it was to their advantage to keep it at the time when it was due. And there was consensus that that was no longer an acceptable way of moving forward, and that local government was a central part of governance in the country. So the last administration from this side did two things. First of all, and this hasn't actually been mentioned in the debate, the Constitution was amended to enshrine local government in the Constitution in 2015. This is the act that did it, Act 14 of 2015. And I'm just going to read the recitals. Whereas a constitutional commission established by Parliament recommended inter alia that provision should be made for the inclusion of the system of local government in the Constitution of Jamaica. And whereas the recommendations of the Constitutional Commission were endorsed by a joint select committee of Parliament. And it goes on. The Act itself amended Section 66 of the Constitution and inserted a new provision in it that says there shall continue to be a democratic system of local government for Jamaica, and it made provision for the holding of local government elections. It didn't prescribe the time frame. The three strategic laws were then passed a year later, in February 2016. One of them, the Local Governance Act, amended the Representation of the People's Act, ROPA, which is the legislation that governs elections in Jamaica, and inserted a new schedule, the 8th schedule. And I think the media need to pay attention to this because they don't seem to understand the situation. It provided for a fixed 4-year cycle for local government elections, with a 90-day window commencing on the 4th anniversary of the last local government elections, in which local government elections must be held. There was no provision for any extension. When COVID hit and Jamaica was reeling, they called a general election in the heights of COVID. It resulted in community spread. Local government elections fell due by February 2021. They came to this Parliament with a bill to extend it for a year, citing COVID as a reason. We didn't oppose it, because although we saw and highlighted the rank hypocrisy in what they were doing, given that they had just called a general election in the height of COVID with devastating consequences for the country, they were extending local government and the period for it by 1 year. But COVID was on the land, and we were responsible, and we said, we understand, we will let it go. February 2022, they brought legislation here. On the very day that the Prime Minister announced in this House that there would be no more need for disaster risk management orders, and social distancing was a thing of the past, and Jamaica was back to normal and was going to be building back for recovery. The very same day, the minister brought another bill to amend the law again, citing COVID as a reason. It was spurious then, and this is spurious now. That year has expired, and they're coming here again because they don't want to call election now, and citing economic reasons for it. The Minister for South East St. Andrew, our Minister, the member for South East St. Andrew, and future Minister of Finance, said pointed out that to be citing economic and financial reasons for undermining democracy in the country and acting inconsistently with the spirit of the Constitution that provides for a democratic system of governance is spurious and disingenuous and cannot be supported. They are collecting, according to the current Minister of Finance, they are collecting over $80 billion from the people in additional tax revenue this fiscal year over what they budgeted. And I must tell you, that the last fiscal year they collected $99 billion, more than they had originally budgeted for that fiscal year. And this coming fiscal year, he has mentioned how much more again is going to be taken from the people. And you can't use $1.3 billion of that to make the people decide who their local representatives should be. It is a disgrace. And we will not support it. The 2016 was supposed to be a change, a more mature approach to this matter. No more would the political shenanigans hold sway. Well, under this minister and this government, they are still holding sway. We don't support it. We will vote against this bill. Thank you, Madam Speaker.